Now that Ripple is revealing some pretty great news, it's more obvious to me than ever that the SEC case is essentially closed. There won't probably be any appeals. In my opinion, and most of this case in the movie won't be heard by a jury. So I want to discuss the current news that we received as it confirms that this case is drawing to a terrible finish. Before discussing a topic that I know everyone is eager to hear about, I want to briefly review everything we just learned. What will cause the price of XRP to rise? We are seeing some exciting developments take place in the background. Why XRP needs a high value? I want to start this video by discussing some new information Eleanor Terra provided earlier today. The case appears to be closed and Brad Garlinghouse and the Ripple Management Group may be aware of a little more than is currently known. This information has been added to some other material we have been seeing, so it really makes sense, so watch until the very end. And also, if this is your first time joining us here, please support our channel to grow by hitting the like and subscribing to my channel. Thank you, and let's continue. What I want to share with you is the information Eleanor Terra revealed earlier today. She stated that Ripple had a private roadshow, a sort of marketing event in April. Guys, this is really interesting because we all know that Judge Torres's summary judgment ruling might come at any time this week, but one thing that has been questioned for some time is whether or not Judge Torres would rule on the most important aspects of this case. If some of them might, in my view, it's pretty obvious that Ripple would need to essentially register with the SEC if they were planning an IPO. However, in this case, contrary to what the FEC desires, Ripple will not be registering their XRP. Instead, Ripple stock will be registered as legitimate security. In any case, this is really intriguing because Ripple would definitely not be allowed to register if they were involved in a legal dispute with the SEC. Now, this is very bullish because I found this to be quite fascinating, guys. It seems more and more likely that Ripple is aware of something behind the scenes now. In my opinion, the only way that Ripple would truly be aware of something would be if there was a settlement in this case, or if Ripple and the SEC already huddled together. Brad Garlinghouse is currently tweeting like digital asset investors are saying dimes to donuts. This thing is done on its own. The thought that the SEC will actually allow us to view the bill, the Ethereum free pass emails are something I just can't wrap my head around. If those were ever made public, I'd be stunned beyond belief. So for that very reason, I do believe that this case will be resolved right away. It's also really interesting to see Brad Garlinghouse praising this sort of behavior. Additionally, Eleanor Terra revealed that Ripple has been preparing for an IPO, which makes it quite clear that this lawsuit will be quickly resolved. The final and most exciting development, in this case, is the fact that every reputable institutional investment business in the world was present at Ripple's roadshow. It is good news that the issue isn't taking an eternity to resolve. This is quite astounding to witness because it amply proves that the biggest American corporations and institutions are keeping an eye on Ripple and are aware of its significance in the transformation of the financial system. Are not securities. As I've been stating for a very long time, if Ripple wins this case and is paid in full in Forex SAPI, it will control the entire institutional cryptocurrency market. This would be extremely beneficial for Ripple and XRP in the future because they would have the clarity needed to run a business in the United States that is changing the financial system. XRP would be the only digital asset with this level of clarity. They will be much more comfortable using and purchasing XRP than they will be with an asset like Ethereum, where Joe Lubin and Vitalik are leading the project after seeing experts like Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz use and explain the technology. In any case, this is really fascinating stuff. Let me just say that Ripple's assurance over the current state of this issue at the time is evidently quite high. People. The SEC's rationale for pursuing, however. I also want to discuss some initiatives being made by the XRP community to investigate precisely what occurred and the motivations behind the SEC's action against XRP and Ripple. Guys, some really intriguing in this video. Stuart Alderady discusses this very subject in a really interesting clip from an interview that I want to share with you. Guys, I genuinely believe that what is happening here is that Ripple and XRP are being built up to become some of the most significant fintech businesses and assets in the entire world. I want to show you in the future that the biggest banking families in the world are aware of what goes on behind the scenes, so please stick around for that. Therefore, I want to start this video by discussing the following. Analyze a really fascinating Stuart Eldorati interview in which he really explores the same subject. His reaction, in my opinion, is excellent and really touches on one of the fundamental aspects of this case, despite how spectacular it is. I want to start by talking about what Ashley Prosper is doing because I think we're going to learn some really interesting things. Ashley Prosper has actually contacted the SEC via FOIA request in an effort to learn about any correspondence between JP Morgan and the SEC regarding Ripple and XRP in particular. However, the SEC is currently essentially withholding any information from her. I'm sure this has been said before, but she has been going through this process for what feels like an eternity. However, the SEC is not acting in this way because there are documents between JP Morgan and the SEC that clearly mention Ripple and XRP. What makes this situation so inconvenient is that the SEC seems to always promise to have these documents by a certain date before ultimately delaying it. In accordance with how the SEC has previously responded to FOIA requests, if there are no records to be provided, they simply reply to this email by saying, "Hey, there are no materials, please try again later," taking place at the SEC in essence. The SEC is breaking the law by withholding these data from the XRP community. If they did disclose them, that, in my opinion, would be the only real reason why they would want to do so. So if you have a moment, please visit Twitter or share this message and perhaps even consider making a financial contribution if she ever needs it. I'm sure I'll send her some money, and I know that many people in the XRP community will as well. She is a very trustworthy person in this community, and we have spoken on several occasions. I have complete faith that she will use every dollar to pursue the SEC as promised. To put it simply, I thought this was a great initiative. I simply think this is a really wonderful thing she's doing because I know there will be people out there who will support her. After that, I'd like to actually share with you what Ripple's legal department chief, Stuart Eldorati, had to say. The subject of why the SEC pursued Ripple was brought up, and even though he sort of skirts around the main issue here, he makes a significant point that is relevant to the case as a whole. Take notice of this. Why Ripple is absolutely necessary. The complaint was filed on December 22, 2020, the last day of the previous administration when Jay Clayton served as the SEC's chairman. The day after the case was filed, Jake Clayton resigned from his position, and 2 weeks later, the entire senior leadership team that, in my opinion, was involved in the decision to bring a lawsuit left. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate response, but I will share with you that date. I'm not sure why the SEC chose Ripple, but I think we can all come up with a few theories. Perhaps the SEC had grown tired of utilizing some lesser tokens to play whack a mole and thought they could reach more people if they targeted Ripple and gently targeted the virtual currency XRP that Ripple uses to enable its cross-border payments.